Hi there. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports and Media Coverage. I'm your host, Aaron Campbell. Today will be another exciting episode. We're going to be joined by Jason Cameron, who always has a lot of great takes on many sports. We're going to be talking today about the UFC, the NBA, NFL, NHL, and probably a few more subjects there as well. So really excited. Jason's coming right into the mix now. So let us say hello. Hey Jason, we're live on the air. How are you?
I am very good. How you doing, Darren?
Doing excellent. Very good. Very good. It's a beautiful sunny day out there, and I'm glad you're enjoying it as usual.
Yes, man. It's gorgeous as opposed to how it's been for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of overdue.
Yeah, sure are. Yeah. So I know you weren't feeling well over the weekend, but I'm glad you're stepping up and helping us out here, breaking down some of the days in the world of sports. And let's get right into it with talking about this UFC 251 card, historic card with three title fights on the line, and first card on Fight Island. Pretty exciting card.
It was good. It was solid card. There was a lot of good fights in there. In my opinion, it wasn't as good as the one 2 weeks ago, but very solid card, great fights. Let's dive in. Where would you like to start?
Well, I kind of want to start in the co-main event. Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski. A little bit of controversy. Some people think Holloway won the decision. Very contentious between many people. I think Holloway won those first two rounds. Volkanovski won those last two rounds, but that third round, a lot of people aren't sure. What was your thoughts about that third round?
Okay, well, I was trying to judge the rounds as I was watching them. Sometimes that's kind of hard to do, but I only had Volkanovski actually getting 2 rounds from Holloway. I gave Holloway actually the first, second, and fourth round, and I had Volkanovski having the third and fifth. But the thing about that entirety of that fight is I never had the impression that Volkanovski won the fight. I know that he came on late, and I thought, yeah, that's great. But in my mind, after watching the first 4 rounds, I was thinking too little too late at that point in time. Like, even with his last 10-second takedown, which I'm sorry, it doesn't count for anything. Like that, there was literally only 10 to 15 seconds he did that takedown. You can't do anything with that time. Like, if that was the considering factor on why he won the fight, then that's garbage. And then they need to get new refs, because that cannot be the deciding factor of a fight of that magnitude like that. That can't be it. That just can't be it. It can't be it. What do you think?
Well, yeah, you're dead on. You're accurate with so many of the things you said. My thoughts were that Holloway had a completely different game plan from the first matchup. He was able to really keep Volkanovski on the outside with his length. Even though Volkanovski has a reach advantage, Holloway used that height advantage and kept him offline. He was, backing up whenever Volkanovski was making attacks, and he definitely dominated those first 2 rounds. I thought he won the third round as well, and Volkanovski came on, but I thought Holloway had already done enough to take that fight if it went to a decision, and I was really disappointed. I thought Holloway deserved that, and would have been nice because we would have had probably a trilogy fight, on the cards really soon. And I feel like Holloway kind of got robbed with that.
Yeah, so I'd say yes, the fight was close, but it wasn't close enough for me to say you could swing it either way. I chose Volkanovski to win, but as I was watching the fight, I thought Holloway definitely won the fight. I thought he definitely won the fight. And also, too, he just seemed like the Holloway of old. Like, something seemed to be missing from him from that first fight with him and Volkanovski. Like, something was off.
Yeah.
Something just was off. Like,
Yeah.
this was the Max Holloway I expected in the first fight that fought in this fight. And also, too, I noticed something. I noticed he actually made a statement during that fight. Volkanovski chewed up his front leg, but did you ever see him switch stances? Not once.
No.
Not once. That was sending him a message of, oh, no, it's not going to go the same way as it did last time.
Yeah.
It's just not even going to be like that. And it was not. It really wasn't. And yes, at times it was tit for tat, but I just thought as the fight progressed, that Holloway just had a little bit more, consistently more than Volkanovski did. So.
Yeah. So did I, and it's just disappointing because I had Volkanovski taking it after that first battle. Volkanovski looked like the better fighter. Max didn't have a lot of answers. He did beat up that front leg and really was dominating in so many aspects of it. Holloway was coming off of 4 title fights in a 12-month period, so there could have been some definite exhaustion, a lot of trying to get up and down for these fights and going into training camp after training camp. And he didn't look like the Holloway of old in that fight, but what a resurgence this fight. He really took it to him, and I heard Dana White say he thought that Holloway won the fight. When in the press conference, when he sat down, he looked around the room and said, who had Volkanovski winning the fight? And he looked around, nobody had their hands up. Who had Holloway? Everybody put their hands up. So it's disappointing when judges are deciding these guys' fates and keeping the belt in somebody's hands that maybe doesn't deserve it. It's really, really unfortunate.
Again, it kind of goes to the fact of just how skilled are these judges actually at judging mixed martial arts? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to enough class work, getting to know the sport, learn the sport well enough that they're not costing these guys major fights in their career? Because if they get it wrong, then these guys suffer. And they suffer for all the wrong things because you don't know what you're doing. And that's unacceptable now. The sport is a major sport. And if that's a consistent problem within the sport, that's something that they do need to address. I think slowly, yes, they have, but maybe a little bit more needs to be put on the table going forward.
You're right. Yeah, let's hope, because we're seeing this way too often. And, you're dealing with these guys' careers. They're only fighting 3 times a year, if that. And this can be a complete life-changing opportunity. Max Holloway might go down the rankings a little bit, not get an opportunity for a while. And, it's not really fair. I feel, and, most people that I've heard from feel it went that way. And we'll see what shakes down. I think the UFC will give Holloway lots of opportunities because he has been such a warrior and has been in so many great battles. And I definitely think they'll keep him up near the top and give him a main event card very soon once he's back recovering. So let's get on to a couple of the other fights. The main event just really went according to most people's thoughts. Usman used his wrestling skill and his superior grappling ability, put Masvidal up against the cage and took him down and really just imposed his will on him. Masvidal seemed tired and just really not the Masvidal that we've seen lately.
Well, you know what? Masvidal had, even if he's kind of sort of like setting himself up for the possibility that he might get this fight because the other guy might have to drop out, he's still not like practicing or focusing on a fight as if he had the fight, and that's what it looked like to me. Like, he just didn't have his endurance up for that fight. And because we know what Usman's going to do. He's going to clinch you. He's going to grab you. He's going to use his superior physicality. He's going to drag you to the ground, and then he's going to beat you up. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's going to do because that's his skill set, and that's what he's very, very good at. Yeah. And I just saw what Masvidal needed to do was use that footwork and spin out and use the middle of the cage. But he just didn't have the stamina to do that. He kept being up against the cage the entirety of that fight. And that's not where he needed to be. That's not where he needed to be to win that fight. And like I truly believe that fight it goes very differently if Masvidal has a full fight camp behind him. Like
Sure.
that is not even close to the same fight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's unfortunate he had to step in. If you don't remember, but if you remember what happened here, but Gilbert Burns was given the title shot
yes.
against Kamaru Usman. Any viewers that were, tuning in the last few weeks might know that, but anybody that's new, Gilbert Burns had got that title shot, got tested positive for COVID-19, had to be removed on the weekend. I think only 6 days notice was given to Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. You got to fly across the world. You got to acclimatize yourself. You have to wake up early in the morning. I think that fight was at like 9 a.m. in the morning,
And that's the
and
weirdest time to fight. Sorry, man.
really, really tough on guys. And
Oh yeah.
Usman had some good points. He said, I was training for Gilbert Burns, and then I had to change my training camp to, face a completely different fighter. You shouldn't give him the out that he only had these 6 days notice. But, I hadn't seen this type of performance for Masvidal in a few years. And so, I'm definitely going to chalk it up to being tired, not having the preparation time, and, having to, change up his whole life to get in there. I know he had to drop 22 pounds in 5 days, which is pretty draining on a body.
Okay, so yeah, he had to drop 22 pounds in 5 days. He wasn't really training for the fight. Usman says, well, I had to change fight. Man, you're in shape. And guess what? Your approach to that fight is the same approach that you'd have to Gilbert Burns. You would have done the same thing. So get off that. I'm not buying into that. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Masvidal has a full fight camp. For that fight, that's a different fight. I still chose Masvidal, even though I knew he was probably not going to win, because maybe he gets lucky. Maybe he hits him with a flying knee as like Usman's trying to shoot in, and maybe he gets lucky.
Yeah.
But I thought, honestly, that was the only way that he was going to win that fight because he's not in shape for the fight.
Yeah.
And I knew that Usman would just drain his tank, which is what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I guess that does put Usman on the table with Burns, and they'll have an opportunity to go at this once Burns recovers, hopefully, from COVID really soon. And that'll be the next on the table for Usman. We'll see what Masvidal has to face. He'll probably go after a Diaz or maybe McGregor or, possibility of a lot of guys. But I'm looking forward to Masvidal having a full camp and being able to show his full strength. So that'll be great. The third title fight on that card was a really good back and forth battle. Aldo looked really, really good for a long time. Obviously, he took too much abuse in the end, but he looked really good against Peter Yan for most of this fight.
Yeah, man. That was as much of a phone booth fight as I've seen in a long time. Neither guy was just like, oh, so you're not going to back up? Well, I'm not going to back up. Okay, I guess we're just going to fight right here. And that's literally how the fight went for all those rounds. They just fought in the phone booth. It was awesome to see. I thought that Aldo maybe let up on his leg kicks a little early. But then again, I think Yan with when he did that takedown, I think it was in the first round, where he hit him in the side. I swear, the way that Aldo reacted, it seemed like he got a major injury from that punch to the stomach, or that punch to the ribs that he had on the right side. I don't know for sure if he did have like a broken rib due to that punch, but it definitely damaged him. And I think that affected him later on in the fight. Because after that third fight, going to the fourth, you could just see that Aldo just all of a sudden just didn't have it anymore. And Yan noticed it and capitalized on it. That dude is a savage. He just kept coming after him. It was actually kind of amazing to see.
Yeah, he is a savage. And oh my God, yeah, he really took advantage of Aldo when he was compromised. They almost it looked like it could have been stopped in that first round. It did look like he broke a rib or something when he was on the ground, and Yan had really given him a hard shot. He winced and tried covering up and was taking a lot of damage. He wasn't stopped at that moment, but his leg kicks were, the Aldo of old, and he was looking really good when he was on the feet. I really liked his game plan, and he was damaging Peter's front leg, and I thought, wow, okay, this is great to see the Aldo of old, and he's given him a big run for his money. But Jan eventually, I think, took over and saw that he had damaged him to a point where he was compromised, and then he just went into attack mode. And Leon Roberts has taken a lot of abuse online and from a lot of pundits and analysts that he let the fight go on way too long. I kind of agree that it went on too long, but it's hard to count out a champion like Aldo really early without giving him a shot.
Well, you know what? That's the way that I looked at that fight in particular, is that Leon Roberts basically looked at Aldo and said, this is a former champion. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and let him I'm just going to let him go for as long as I think he should go. Maybe even a little bit longer because of the fact that he is a former champion.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. So, yeah, good on Leon for that. Sorry that he's taken so much abuse, but Aldo has been a really worthwhile champion for many years, and I don't think he diminished his star quality and the ability to perform in really high profile fights. It looked great to me, and I was impressed. So let's go into a couple of the women's fights were on the main card. Rose Namajunas had a rematch with Jessica Andrade, and Rose just looked really fantastic, especially those first 2 rounds. She was just sticking and moving and really, really taking it to Jessica, not even giving her an opportunity to get anywhere near her.
You know what? The one thing that I love, the beauty about that fight was that both women were already at the top of their division when they were fighting, right? And so they come back and they fight each other again, and they brought new wrinkles to their game. They were actually significantly better than they were in that first fight. That's what impressed me the most. With Andrade's Mike Tyson, like crouched, hunched over, I'm just going to throw hooks as hard as I can, and I'm going to come after you. And Rose with her beautiful footwork. I forgot just how much of a pleasure it is to watch her fight. I forgot about that. Like, it is an absolute pleasure to watch her fight. It really is.
Yeah, you're right. Wow. Yeah, she just put on an incredibly impressive performance. Just sticking and moving and just being able to, get out of range all the time. Andrade is just a pit bull, and you don't want to get hit with some of those shots. I can't believe the size of her arms. She just really, really threw to try to take Rose out the whole entire time, but Rose just wasn't taking any of her punishment early. Andrade, I think, probably won that 3rd round and could have came on, but Rose was a really great game plan and, didn't allow her to clinch her, didn't allow her to do those throws like she did in that first match. And really good on Pat Barry and her whole camp. Really impressive to see Rose back.
And I also, too, I was just impressed with the heart that she showed, just the will and the fortitude, because at the end of that fight, she took huge shots. Yeah. But it was almost like it was a refusal to say, it ain't going to go the first way that it went. I ain't going to go down. I'm going to to fight this woman. I'm going to win this fight. Like, you could tell that the fire was there. Yeah. The absolute fire for her to win the fight was absolutely there. It was just awesome. It was awesome for me as a fan of Thug Rose. Oh, both those ladies. Both those ladies put in one hell of an effort in that fight. But it was awesome for me as a fan of Thug Rose to see her will herself to win, because that's exactly what she did. She willed herself to that win, man. She deserves all the credit in the world. Let's see what happens next going forward. I don't know if she'll be the next up to fight Weili?
Yeah, okay. I think she is. Yeah, I think she's the next. Yeah, next.
Because if she's next up, it's gonna be a hell of a fight, man. Because if you know one thing about Weili, Andrade couldn't just walk through her punches. The woman can punch.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. Yeah. And she's very, very good and very technical. If that's the next fight, dude, that is awesome. I can't wait for that. That's going to be such a good fight. Such a good fight.
You're right. Yeah, totally agree. Can't wait. Yeah, Roses deserves it. And Weili's been phenomenal, but Rose is bringing so much to the table and new wrinkles, and yeah, it's going to be a fantastic title fight. So Let's talk about the other women's fight on the docket there. Women's flyweight fight between Paige Van Zandt and Amanda Ribas. Paige was entering into her last fight on her UFC contract. Really wanted to show an impressive performance, but Amanda just really took over, and that submission she had was really, really amazing. I was super impressed with her jiu-jitsu and being able to get that armbar and sink it in, and nothing Paige could do but tap.
I was hoping that she was going to tap, because I was hoping, like, she doesn't tap, she's going to break your arm. Because, like, she waited to the very last second to tap. I give her all the credit in the world, because that's how.
Wow. Can you hear me? How did I lose you? Says I'm going. I've lost you. Don't know if you can hear me, but we've frozen on you. So yeah, you've exited. Okay.
Okay. Sorry
guess,
about that. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what happened there either. Okay. Well,
anyway, let's continue on where I was at. So
please do. Yeah.
Yeah. So with Ribas and the way that she just executed her game plan perfectly. She executed the game plan perfectly, and it was a flawless victory. It was Mortal Kombat flawless victory. That's what it was.
Sure was. Yeah. Just really super impressive. I feel sorry for Paige going out like that. She wants to be a free agent and test the waters and see what other organizations will offer her, see what the UFC is going to come to the table with. But she said, she feels very undervalued and underpaid for her whole career, made more money on Dancing with the Stars than she has in her whole UFC career. So, she wants more money to put her life on the line and go into these battles with these women. And, I don't blame her. Hope she can get the money somewhere, if not the UFC. Lots of other organizations probably step up. She's a well-known girl, and she's done really well for herself for a great career.
Yes, exactly. But at the end of the day, though, I don't know when the last win that she had was, right? And her record is 8-5. Usually the UFC doesn't play pretty hard when your record's like that. So we may see her move on to another organization where they do pay her more money, right? So, but we'll see. Hopefully, maybe the UFC pays her a little bit more for a contract. Maybe that's enough to make her stay. Yeah. But she's definitely going to be testing the waters.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she will. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what shakes down in a little while and who signs her and what kind of money she's going to get. Let's get to the prelim card a little bit. The fight I want to talk about right off the bat is the debut fight of Yuri Prochazka. Wow, what an unorthodox performance. He took a little bit of damage with his hands down at his sides early, but what a crazy grid knockout for him.
I don't even know where to begin when it comes to his style, man. Like, it's like he learned to fight on Pluto. I don't know what that was. That's the most unique style that I've ever seen. And it wasn't like, at first I thought, is he copying Dominic Cruz? And I'm like, no, that's super weird. I don't know. I don't know what that is. And then he was clowning Ozdemir. Like, for me, when I looked at that and I go, this guy's new, right? Does he know who he's fighting? Because I was just like, that's probably one of the worst things you can do. To clown a guy like that can just knock you out at any second. Well, I guess it worked out for him, though. So, like the combo that he teed off on, how he caught Ozdemir with his weird movement, it was actually really nice to see. Like, I rewound that and I looked at that and again, and I was just like, oh man, I think he would have caught anybody with that, because he's got that Pluto-like movement that you see in the combat ring, and then he hit him with, I think it was a high right kick, wobbled his head, and then the combination to finish him off is beautiful with the right straight at the end that just took his head off, man. Hit his power. kid's got power. He's got some
Yeah.
real serious power. It was a great win by him. Like, Jesus, I don't know if that means he jumps into the top 10, but he's definitely now in the top 15 for sure with that win.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he should be. Yeah, I mean, Ozdemir fought for the title not too long back, and
And he was number 7.
yeah, number 7, and this guy coming in on his debut and doing that. He was showboating a ton. He was not showing Ozdemir very much respect, but did he ever really shut his lights out once he got him into trouble with that head kick? Then he just accurate punches to take him out, and Ozdemir was completely knocked out. And I mean, he criticized his performance a little bit after when he was talking, in the post fight. But I was pretty damn impressed with that debut.
You know what? Like, even when he was criticizing himself in the post conference, I'm like, what do you got criticized, man? You just took out the number 7 dude. The guy's not an easy fight. It's like if you're fighting a top 10 dude, the fight's not going to go the way that you want it to, because that other guy on the other side that you're fighting is really good. He's going to blow up your plans. That's what he's going to do. He's going to blow up your plan. But even when he did that, it didn't matter, because I'm sure Ozdemir is just like, what is he doing? Because I was trying to figure that out. Like, what is he doing? I don't know what he's doing right now. Like, he kept hitting himself in the shoulders too, and I'm like, is he psyching himself up? What is going on? It was the weirdest fight style I have ever seen. But I guess if it works, it works, man. If it works, it works. Yeah. I don't understand it. I don't know if he understands it, but whatever, man. It works for him. And it was a great win on his part.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't employ the hands down by his side style too much for some of these guys if he starts facing top 10 competition on and over, because these guys can connect with your chin or your face, and you're in some deep trouble. But it was fun. It really added a lot to that prelim card, and really nice to see a guy make his debut. It looks so exciting, looks so confident, and be able to take out a guy like that that high quality. Super impressive.
Super impressive victory. I hope that from now on, for how you say the man's name? Prochazka,
I think it is.
Prochazka. Yeah. I'm gonna mess up that dude's name forever. But anyways, for Prochazka, that they just keep feeding him like top talent now. It's like I'd feed him to the wolves now. I'm like, oh well, apparently you can handle it, son. So there you go, man. Go for it.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, let's go, Sean Shelby, Dana White. Let's put him in against some really tough level competition. Let's see what he's got. So
let's see what he's got.
Yeah, let's see what he's got. I really would love to touch on the amazing anaconda choke submission by Makwan Amirkhani, Mr. Finland. I had an opportunity to meet him in Finland. I've been following his career because he did name himself Mr. Finland, and I've got ties to that country. And really amazing anaconda choke that he ended up sinking in after trying many submissions.
Yes, man. Like, super impressive, because I believe he transitioned from an arm-in triangle choke to the anaconda choke, and he did it so seamlessly that I was just like, "Whoa, man! Like, look at how quick he put that thing in there." It was a great win on his part against a very, very tough competitor in Henry. And well, hey, man, I look forward to seeing what Amir Akhani can do next in his next fight. It was a very great submission. Did he get submission of the night for that? He must have got it for that, right?
No, I think it went to Rebus, actually. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Because like that, like I was looking at both those fights, and I'm like, well, either one could. I thought maybe Amir Akhani would have had it just because of the technicality of said anaconda choke, the way that he did it. But whatever. I get it.
Yeah. He joins an elite group of only 2 other men to finish 2 opponents with an anaconda choke. Charles Oliveira and Phil Davis are the only 2 other guys to do it, and it's a really tough submission to get. And he put him to sleep. The guy didn't even have a chance to tap. He was out, and he showed lots of sportsmanship by lifting his legs and trying to give him some blood back to the top of his head. And it was, but he was completely out.
Hey, classy win on his part, especially with the sportsman that he is. By immediately, I believe he even told the ref, I believe he's out, right? And the ref then went to raise his hand. He goes, oh, no, he's out. Please stop the choke. All right.
Yeah.
And then immediately he raised the man's legs. Like, you know what? Like, that's to me, that exemplifies what this is all about. Sportsmanship. What the fighting is all about. Yeah, you can have like, you can have like your characters that you play up and everything. But at the heart of the sport, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
About the competition and sportsmanship. And Amir Khani really exemplified that in that fight.
Yeah, well said. UFC, almost all the competitors are really good sportsmen. You see them shaking each other's hands after, no matter how contentious the, verbal war was going into it. They try to play up the fight, but all in all, they're sportsmen. They respect the guy for going in and throwing down with him, having the battle, and Amir Khani, deserves some really big thumbs up for telling the ref that, I think he's went out and let's revive him as soon as, you've given me the victory. So,
yes, exactly. Like even like when you talk about like the sportsmanship, even Usman and Masvidal kind of buried the hatchet. I think they did it. They didn't like it. I don't think they really wanted to do it. Maybe they kind of did it more for the, because cameras were on them, but they did it, right? You know what I mean? And you have a fight like that, any fight, whatever animosity you had, you settle it in the ring. So it's over.
Yeah. To start the night, there was a big KO by Davy Grant halfway through the third round. Takes out Martin Day. Martin looked pretty good for a lot of this fight, but Davy Grant shut his lights out and got a really big victory that he needed. It was an impressive KO.
Yes, it was. And actually, I noticed the one thing that Davey was doing really well and effectively in that fight. Like, I thought that Day was actually the better striker, but Grant was getting his moments. But he had the nice hook to the body, hook to the head, hook to the body, hook to the head. I kept noticing that throughout the course of the fight. And I'm like, I wonder if that's going to serve him well later on in the later rounds. And that's exactly how he knocked him out. It was a hook, and he hooked. It was two hooks to the head, hook left and then a hook right, and that was it. Shut his lights out. And he caught Davey as he was throwing as well, and those are usually the worst kind of ones because then you don't expect anything firing back as you're firing, and then it was a pretty brutal knockout, and it was a great win by Grant because I don't know if he would have won that fight if it had gone to the judges.
Probably not. No. Yeah. So, it's good to see a guy still keep battling really hard all the way through in the third round. And I think, Dave probably wins that as a decision if it doesn't get stopped. So good on Davy Grant. And let's hope he can move up the ranks. That's a tough division, bantamweight, lots of really amazing competition there. But a lot of these other fights, went to decisions. Nothing really stands out for me. Anything in particular about some of the other fights that you would really like to mention?
The Leandro Santos Salikov fight. I was actually looking forward to that fight because those are two high-end strikers going at it. And I'm going to be honest, honestly, I had Dos Santos winning that fight, personally, because I thought that Salikov and his spinning techniques, I thought he was trying to rely on that too much as opposed to just going traditional, which is what Dos Santos did throughout the course of that fight because he's more of the traditional fighter in that respect. And I thought that Dos Santos had his number in that fight.
Right.
I thought he won that fight. But it was a very technically sound, beautiful fight to watch, man. It was a really great fight to watch because those guys were throwing their feints. And then Salikov, he's got to be one of the best guys to throw a spinning back kick. Like, it is always on the money. And all the different ways that he can throw it, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And it's always accurate and fast. And he has no tell. Absolutely no tell. You do not know when that thing is coming.
Nice.
So, but hats off to him for winning the fight. It was super close, but, I had Dos Santos win the fight. Whatever.
Yeah, that was an interesting fight because it was Capoeira against Wushu guy, and Salikov is tough as nails. Santos. There was two Santos on the card. This guy's name is Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. The other guy is Leonardo Santos.
Yeah.
Leonardo fought earlier against Roman Bogotov, but this is a different Santos. Really good welterweight battle, and interesting the mix against styles, and I thought the Santos did enough to win myself, but they ended up giving the decision to Salikov. I enjoyed it fully. They're very talented in their own disciplines, and they had a really good 15-minute battle.
Yeah, no, it was a great battle. It was really entertaining to watch. Very entertaining to watch. And like I said, it was super close. It was a close battle. Maybe I could see it going for Salikov. Maybe. But I still stick to the fact I believe Santos won it.
Yep. This card 251 had 3 title fights on the card, and it's only happened twice before in history. So this is the third time. The first one was in UFC 33, so way back. And Tito Ortiz, Jens Pulver, and Chuck Liddell all had the belts victories that night. But I want to go to the other time it happened, UFC 217, a very historic card. All 3 fights on that card, the belt changed hands. And I'll just mention the 3 fights, and then you comment on them. GSP beat Michael Bisping to take his second belt in a higher weight class than he had ever fought before. TJ Dillashaw beat Cody Garbrandt, took the belt from him, and Rose Namajunas beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk and won her UFC title. An epic night. That's one of the best cards I've ever seen. And it was really nice to be reminded of that night being a three title fights, the same as this one this past Saturday.
Yep, I remember that fight because I was back in Abbotsford, and I got the guys together to watch that one, and I was just excited to see, because I remember Bisping likes to pop off, loves to pop off, right? So he's going like, man, GSP's a smaller man. He's small little man. I'm a big man. How's he gonna deal with my size, right? He kept saying that throughout the course of that week, and then he saw GSP in the ring. And then I think his whole idea of, like, I have size on him very much changed. Because the back on GSP, this is one thing that shocked me. His back just looked freaking massive. I'm like, okay, well, the boy put on some weight, looks good. And I'm sure Bisping's like, this might not go the way I was thinking. And so that, to me, it was a great win by GSP. Great win. I think at the time, maybe he was the third guy to go, like, to win a title in another weight division or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it was, but it just showed the greatness of GSP. Showed why the man's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he solidified that legacy. I think he was already a Hall of Famer, but to be able to come out of retirement and take that belt, different weight class, and bigger man, and really show his will and his skill. Just put him in the Hall of Fame, upper echelon, one of the greatest of all time. And we were remarking about a month ago how he was nominated to the Hall of Fame, and if you haven't seen that fight, people, go watch that. Really great finish to George St. Pierre's career. And Michael Bisping had the belt momentarily, but George said, "No, this is going to be mine. I'm taking it away from you," and he sure did.
Oh, he sure did. He most certainly did. And especially if that looks like, that's his last fight that he'll ever have. What a way to finish your career. Yeah. High note. Yeah. Ultimate high note.
Ultimate. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay, well, we've talked about UFC 251 and really broke that down really well. Let's look ahead to this Wednesday's card. It's called UFC Fight Night 172. It's going to happen in Abu Dhabi. Not as obviously star-studded of a card as a Saturday, but why don't we break down a couple of the fights? The main event looks pretty good. Calvin Kattar against Dan Ige. I think both these guys have been doing really well lately. Ige coming off a 6-fight win streak, and Kattar looking great, and lots of his performances recently. What are your thoughts?
I think this is a great fight for 2 up-and-comers. crossroads fight to see like who gets to climb up the ladder and who gets knocked down a bit. You know, like it is a perfect fight for that division and for these two guys. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a war. They're going to come to fight, my friend. They are coming for blood, both of them, because they both know how much is on the line. How much is on the line for the person that loses, especially because they're going to be knocked back so far. Like this is going to be the transformative fight of somebody going forward and somebody being a top end contender, possibly even going in like the top 5, trying to crack the top 5. Like that's where I see this fight going towards for whoever the winner of this fight is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll start getting some really, really tough opponents coming out. Whoever's going to take this. Calvin Kattar's 21-4, number 6 in the world, and Dan Ijay's 14-2, number 10 in the world. They both done really, really well. And I know that Ijay had a controversial win last time against Edson Barboza. He won by split decision, but he's been able to, face some really good competition and keep winning. And some of the fights that Kattar's been in, I can't even believe the amount of great guys. Shane Burgos and Jeremy Stevens, huge knockout wins. Ricardo Lomas. He did lose to Zabit, but that was a fight of the night. And
and it's the beat. It's the beat. That's all I got to say about that. It's the beat. So he lost to a guy that's that good.
Yeah. So, but that's going to be a great fight. I'm really glad that's going to be our main event. I'm not impressed with the co-main event. Tim Elliott and Ryan Benoit, just really have lacked a lot of wins lately. Benoit's coming off 2 of the last 3, and he's lost won one of the last 10. Tim Elliott's lost 3 in a row and 4 of his last 5. Don't know why that's co-main event. I think Scott mentioned that Frankie Edgar and Munoz were supposed to be on this card, so it would have not been co-main event. So these guys are getting an opportunity to try to get away from a bit of a losing streak, but not impressed with how they have been fighting lately. They're just not really at the top of their game at this point.
I'm going to be honest. Looking back at like the lineup for the UFC Fight Night 172, the main event, the co-main event actually, I believe, should have been Rivera versus Stamen.
Yeah,
that should be your co-main event.
Definitely.
And I have no idea, like you said, why they put Elliott versus Benoit, because I can't even remember the last time I saw Elliott fight. And whenever I did see him fight, when I thought about him, I wasn't impressed. So There you go. Like, if it was Rivera versus Stamen, that makes more sense to me. It makes a heck of a lot more sense to me if that's the co-main event. And I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, you're fully right. Rivera and Stamen deserve that. Tim Elliott has faced, very high-level competition. He had a title fight against Demetrius Johnson. He's fought Dodson, Benavidez, Bogatinov, Figueroa, Smolka, De La Rosa. A lot of really good guys, but lost quite a few of those fights. His record 16-11-1. Benoit's 10-6. I don't know. They should have reversed those. And so let's just get into talking about Rivera and Stamen. Rivera's he's 22-4. He's had some amazing battles. Listen to the competition that he's faced in the last little while. Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Dodson, Uriah Faber, Almeida, Alcantara, Munoz, and Brimage. Like, whoa, like amazing amount of really, really, really top guys.
And just from what you just said there, from those list of fighters that he fought, so he can't be co-main event. All right? That guy can't be co-main event, though. What are you talking about? Like, we just said who he just fought. It's a who's who of his division. The guy's at the top of his game. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to this fight. I really am looking forward to this fight because Rivera's so tough. And so is Stamen. And I think I want to say that I think Stamen will try to do more of a wrestling-centric kind of fight. Like, he'll try to take him to the ground. Don't know how successful it'll be, but it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight. They're both going to come to bang, man.
Yeah. Cody Stamen was really impressive in his last outing, right on the heels of losing his brother. His brother passed away, and I think it might have been revealed what caused his death, but I don't know off the top of my head. But only on May 27th, his brother died, 18-year-old. Stamen was, came into the cage just right after that and had a big victory over Kelleher.
Yep.
And that's only been like about a month ago. And Stamen's number 10 in the world, 19-2-1, great record.
Yeah.
Has faced a lot of really good guys. He did lose to Aljamain Sterling, same as Rivera, but Aljamain is probably going to get this title shot now, so he's he's right up there. So, but yeah, Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, it's going to be an amazing battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight. I'm definitely looking forward to that on that card because the rest of it is a little bit light, I guess. I want to say it like that. It's a little light. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Yeah. I can't tell you who's going to win, but I know it's going to be close, and it's going to be probably fight of the night. If it's not Kattar versus Ige, it'll be Rivera versus Stamann, for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the other combatants on the card, not household names. Even, we don't know a ton about them, but we've seen a lot of these people that are getting these opportunities shine when they were in Florida, when they were at the Apex in Vegas. A lot of these are getting their debuts and coming in and all of a sudden really making a name for themselves. So don't miss it. Watch them all. There's a lot of really, really good fights on prelims and that aren't, top main events names. Don't miss it out. Don't miss it. It's really recommend. We've seen so many great fights since this hiatus has ended over COVID-19. And, these guys are getting a lifetime opportunity, and these girls too. It's something that you don't want to miss.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because, even when it's the names that you all know, and then the event goes on, and sometimes the event stinks. And then sometimes when it's the names you don't know, and you don't come in with a very high expectation, but you are still treated to some of the best fights you've ever seen. So it's always worth it to tune in and watch. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, yeah, well, amazing breakdown of 251 and UFC Fight Night 172. I'm really happy that we were able to get that great of a card on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to middle of the week fights now. Glad they're doing this, and it's nice. Fight Island seemed to go off without a hitch. It seemed like a nice venue and seemed to be everybody was fighting well, even though they were fighting in the morning. It didn't seem to affect too much of the card, and it looked good.
No, you know what? I guess I guess maybe it doesn't matter when you get punched in the face, but once you get punched in the face, you're awake. You know what I mean? Like, you're awake. You're ready to go fight somebody now because you just got punched in the face, whether it be 10 o'clock at night or 4 in the morning or whatever the heck they started. You know what? You're ready to go. And I thought the UFC has done an exemplary job of setting this all up to make sure that the staff and the fighters are all safe and sound. And I guess it doesn't get any more secure than you being on a freaking island, all right, with nobody there except for staff and fighters. Yeah. So they're doing it the right way. And I guess, Dana White's just like, you know what, I'm going to use a lot of my money to make sure this stuff goes without a hitch and that I don't have to be like the NBA and deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm just going to get out of America. Period.
Oh, well, that's an amazingly good segue. Why don't we talk about the NBA and the challenge that awaits them as they try to get this season going. Going into Florida, 15,000 new cases of COVID yesterday or the day before yesterday. They're setting records that they don't want to set, and they're having to try to go into this bubble and keep everybody safe and try to start the season up. It's a task that I think is a little too hard to undertake, and I'm worried for them being able to pull this off.
Well, yeah, because yes, you're in a bubble, but do you have like a 10-mile radius around the bubble? Because right now the way it's looking is that they're just surrounded by infected. Everybody's infected, and it gets worse every day. Like it's scary to think that that's what they have to deal with, that they know that you can't leave there or else you run the risk of catching everything. And then you run the risk of passing that along to all your teammates. So I think the NBA has done all of the possible precautions that they could at this point in time. And now it's to the point of you let the chips fall where they may. You've done your best. Now we go forward and we see what happens. And hopefully it all works out for them. Hopefully guys adhere to the system and they don't try to sneak out, because let's be honest, you get out of the bubble, you try to sneak out, you're going to catch coves. You're probably going to catch it. So
two guys were caught sneaking out, and they've had to be re-quarantined for 10 days. Bruno Caboclo, he was a Toronto Raptors draft pick. Now he's a Houston Rockets forward. He left his room in the early 24-hour lockdown that they made you after you got your test done. Before you got your results, you weren't allowed to leave your room for any reason, and he did. He said he didn't realize that, but they said no, that doesn't wash. That's not an excuse that we will accept. And 10 more days back in his room and isolated. And the other guy was Rashawn Holmes from the Sacramento Kings, and he had ordered a food delivery to the bubble, and he walked outside the line that they had drawn in the sand and grabbed his skip the dishes or whatever it was, and now he's back quarantined for 10 days. So hopefully these two guys are the first and only two that are going to make this mistake. Let's hope.
Well, I would hope that. They're not, though. They're not going to be the only ones, man. It's just not going to be. It would be great to think that everybody would be on board with like the process that they've now like painstakingly thought out and put forward, right? But that's not what guys are going to do. That's just not what they're going to do, man. And to know, though, that the NBA is taking it very seriously. Like, maybe they could have let the other guy go, but they're not letting anything off. Like, these are the rules that you must follow. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts. And I love that. I love that because they have to be that hard on because of where they are in the US of A and the fact that, like, if any of these guys get it, that means it spreads to the team. That means the team could be gone out of a playoff run. Yeah. And, like, there's just a lot to lose. Yeah. So that's why they're just so hard on this is the way it has to be. It's the way it has to be. So.
Russell Westbrook was just announced that he tested positive for COVID, and so he's going to be out for at least a couple weeks and possibly more. That's a big blow for Houston. They're trying this small ball lineup, and he was, obviously one of the biggest pieces they have to try to see if this can work for them. I feel sorry for him and for the Houston's chances.
Yeah, like he's the spark plug, right? He's the spark plug. And also, too, he was playing like a savage near the end of the season before we had to lock it down. He was playing like ridiculous. He's playing out of his head because of the fact that he has space. He has a runway just to attack the rim at all times, whenever the heck he wants. So that's it is a blow, but I want to say that within the realm of how long he has to quarantine and hopefully when he recovers, I think he should still be like back within a reasonable amount of time within the first round of the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah.
So you know what? Like at least he has it now to deal with as opposed to later on when they're doing their playoff run. So
good point. Yeah, very good point. Yeah, hopefully he recovers before the playoffs even start. So I want to point out a couple videos that you should watch and our viewers and listeners should watch. Luka Doncic and Boban Marjanovic from the Dallas Mavericks were in the gym and had somebody record some of their interactions. Boban is 7'4", 7'5". I think the tallest player in the whole NBA, and Luka Doncic, you're one of your favorite players. They had a one-on-one battle. It's hilarious. It's really, really fun. Boban dunks, barely even has to leave his feet, dunks on Doncic, and then Doncic tries to dunk, and Boban actually picks him up and lets him dunk it in. It's a really, really hilarious video that you got to see. And then another video was posted from Doncic, and he had a couple of amazing trick shots that were spectacular that he was pretty impressed himself that he made. So keep your eye out for those today, Jason, and any of our viewers and listeners. Watch them. They're hilarious. I guess the only other thing I want to talk about the NBA is just, can this move forward? The MLS went into this same bubble in Florida at Disney World. and they're trying to pull it off. They've already had 2 teams withdraw because of 9 COVID positive tests each team. Um, there's been a bunch of games canceled, and or maybe not canceled but postponed already from positive tests. And so I don't know, I feel like it's an episode of The Walking Dead that they're going into in Florida, and it must be scary to enter into a real life Walking Dead.
No, man, it is. It is. Like they're fighting off infected. They're in a bubble where it's almost like they got a fortress, right? They got a fortress where they're trying to keep out everybody infected. But unfortunately, within said fortress, you got guys that say, I gotta get out. I gotta go see some people, right? Which is just like, it's nonsense. It's crazy. You shouldn't do it, clearly. But going forward for any of the leagues, this is one of the things that they're just going to have to deal with. They're going to have plans implemented so that if this does happen, if there's a certain number of players, because like there has to be a cap for a team. Like if too many players on the team have it, then the team's got to go. You know what I mean? Because now you can't speak for the rest of the guys. Everybody's got to be tested and everything else. And it is what it is, I guess, at this point in time. It is what it is. Every league will do their best to try to evolve with the changing parameters of whatever they have to deal with. But it's going to be a week-to-week thing. It's going to be a week-to-week thing with every team. But they just have to stay on top of it with all the consistent testing.
Yeah, yeah. The only league that I think's got it right, team sports-wise, the only league that to me has got it right is the NHL. And the NHL just started their training camps today. Everybody was supposed to go into their team facilities and ramp up. They're going to have the 2 hubs in Edmonton and Toronto. And here in Canada, there's we've done a really, really good job keeping the COVID positive cases down and really keeping people safe. And I don't think any of the other leagues are really going to be able to make a go of it the way they've got it planned. But the NHL, I think, is smart. These 2 bubbles should work, and we'll see what comes out of today and this training camp coming forward. There was 30 positive cases out of 600 guys, but now that they've got them sorted out, and they're only allowing guys in once they've completely tested negative, and you're going. So yeah, we might be the only team sport we might be able to enjoy over the summer here might be hockey.
Well, you know what? First off, because of where they're going to play hockey games, which is here in Canada, where we're safe. Yeah, man. Like unfortunately, because of the dynamics of where the other leagues are playing their games and where the NHL has chosen to play their game, well, yeah, it looks a lot better for them to make it through the rest of their playoff run or whatever, however they want to finish out the season with their playoffs, right? That they may actually have the chance of actually accomplishing that. That you can do it, because the number of cases that we have, like across Canada, we're not close to 15,000, not close to 10,000, not close to, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
We don't have those kind of numbers, so we don't actually have to worry about that. Not to the same extent as the other leagues playing in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought MLS was really smart trying to go into a bubble, same as NBA, NHL. I don't know how baseball is going to think about pulling it off. They're going to be traveling. They're going into different cities. They have 4 or 5 game series, and then off to a different hotel, off to a different ballpark. I just can't see it working. And NFL, they're going to try to do the same thing. They've had so many positive cases in college football. When they went into training camps, and NFL, I just can't see it working. Them having to travel to different cities and check into different hotels and try to, be on different. It's just crazy. It just doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they have a bubble as well?
Well, you know what? Because there's too many freaking variables that are unaccounted for. There's just too many. Like, especially if you're constantly traveling, you don't know what the staff have done at that hotel. You don't know, like, especially with every different city, every different arena that you're going to go into and stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I understand that the owners need to make some sort of revenue by having the teams go to their stadiums, I guess. But this is a new norm. This is definitely a new norm, man. And you have to realize that there's some sacrifices you're going to have to make sure that the league can go forward. And for them traveling like a traveling circus like they usually did when things are normal, this ain't normal anymore. This is not normal. And just for all the things that we've just said, yeah, I fear that it's not going to go the way that they think it's going to go. I think it's going to be a train wreck, personally, but I guess we'll see again.
Yeah. Well, one really good news came out of the NFL today. The Redskins, Dan Snyder, owner, has finally buckled under pressure, money pressure, fan pressure, corporate pressure, all the above. He's finally said they're changing the Redskins name. Yeah, it was welcome news in my household. How about you?
Oh yeah, man, for sure. Because, like he was just so obstinate about it. I'm never changing the name. It's never gonna happen. I don't care if it offends people. It's my team. It's like trying to tell a child that I'm sorry, and I'm gonna have to do something with your toy. And he's like, no, but it's my toy. It's mine. Finally, I guess he saw logic, because people kept threatening him to say, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And it had to come from so many freaking sides for this guy to finally get the message. That's how much he just didn't want to budge. It's actually kind of amazing, to the point that even the minority owners are like, we're out. You know what? We're out. We want out. This guy, he's not getting on board with the program. He's not getting on board with the fact that times are changing.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the way that it was.
Yeah.
So finally, I guess you could say that, yes, he's grudgingly changing the name. He's grudgingly doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give him props for doing the right thing, because he clearly didn't want to do that in the first place. So it's just good to see that the name is gone and that something else is going to come of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. He's come across as a complete fool. And, it's just been, come on, buddy, join the world, join the real world here. It's time for a change. And, there can be a million names out there. They can sell a lot of memorabilia, a lot of great things. And, they're not going to lose the tradition of the Redskins,
No.
I just don't know why he was just so steadfast wanting to hold on to it. But, under all this pressure, he's finally come to his senses and changed it, and, begrudgingly did it. But, it's welcome news. And let's hope so many of the other leagues that have some names that offend people will change these names, and we can move forward into a better, more inclusive world, and, make a lot more people happy. It's about time.
It is about time. It is about time. And I'm just glad that the guy's, been forced to see reason, and also too, he's going to make his money, because now he can do that as throwbacks, Redskin throwback material, along with the new stuff that he has. It's like there's positives to be gained out of this. Unfortunately, the man just sees the negatives, but there's also positives out of this too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? At least the name's going to be changed. That's a thing, and that's awesome.
Yeah. We've been talking a little bit about racism on some of our last podcasts. You were really, really fantastic last week to open up your life and talk about your experience as a Black man growing up here in Canada, and all the things that have happened in your life. I received a ton of really great feedback that you did that. I got to say thank you again, and I hope you received a lot of good feedback as well.
Yeah, I have. A little bit surprised, to be honest with you, because it's just, I don't know, it's just my story. I don't think it's anything special as opposed to anybody else, but I do appreciate the fact that I had a chance to share with everybody listening out there. Yeah, and I guess in a very, very, very small way, that's my contribution to the cause.
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate that you did that, man. Thanks so much. And I do want to talk about two things that I noticed regarding that subject. The first one was a CBC um, uh, sort of a round table they had. Uh, Canadian athletes were detailing about their experiences with racism in sports. You go to cbc.ca and look up track and field athletes. Did you get a chance to see that? I did send you the link. Did you get a chance to
Yes.
see it yet?
Yes. No, I unfortunately I didn't get a chance to see that.
Okay.
But I can imagine exactly what those guys have gone through, which is about the same things that I've gone through, same things that I've gone through when I was in high school, the name calling, the things of that nature. And it's tough. It's tough to always deal with those things. You need a very strong support system regardless. Like you need it through your coaching and you need it through your friends and you need it through your fellow peers, right? For people to
Right.
speak up and talk out against that and say, no, man, you can't do that. That's wrong. And will not be tolerated. Not here, not ever, not in our sport.
Yeah. And the other thing that I sent was an Instagram post by Jerome McGinley, and it was really, really touching to watch. He talked about him growing up and not really having a lot of names that he could look at as somebody that looked like him, people of color. He pointed out Grant Fuhr, which you did a couple weeks ago as well, but not really having an opportunity in a lot of other people's minds, but he just broke through those barriers and just kept at it. Now he's a Hall of Famer, and that was a really, really neat video. Please watch it. Find it on Instagram, Jerome McGinley. What do you think?
Well, first off, it's Jerome McGinley. And like in his own way, he actually opened the doors for everybody else that you see as part of that Hockey Diversity Alliance. They're there because they had somebody else to look up to, which was him. And so you could say that he was part of that new wave of players that started coming in, players of color, that other players of color coming up through the grassroots system could look at and say, I can have success at the highest level in this sport because look at him. Looks just like me. I can do this. I can persevere. I can overcome and become great. And that's exactly what that man did. And he's one of the best ambassadors for the sport that you could ever have, period.
True. Yeah, well said. Really well said. Well, I do want to end it with telling you about one more video. I think I've given you 5 videos to see, everybody, and you too, Jason. But there's a really hilarious video that I saw today that had Kevin Hart sitting in an ice tub next to J.R. Smith in an ice tub. And Kevin Hart starts imitating LeBron, talking to J.R. Smith. And it is just priceless. Kevin Hart, one of the funniest human beings on the planet. And he's talking to him about reuniting with LeBron after their Cleveland days. And it's just priceless. Watch it. You'll get a big laugh out of it, as always with Kevin Hart.
Oh, for sure, man, because Kevin Hart's hilarious. I hope that the video was done before J.R. Smith had to start quarantining himself. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I understand. Because Kevin Hart's calling you up to say, hey, man, I want to do something funny. I want to do some funny video. If I'm J.R. Smith, I go, how'd you get my number? And yes, I'm in.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. It must have happened before he went into quarantine, but
God, I hope
it was great. It's just priceless, super hilarious. And I have Kevin Hart on my Instagram, and he posts funny things all the time. And yeah, he's just such a priceless guy. And it was so funny the way he imitated LeBron. I hope LeBron's happy about it too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think he's a good man at taking a good ribbing. And I believe him and Kevin Hart actually know each other. And plus, on top of that, Kevin Hart's one of the greatest comedians on the planet right now. So if anybody of that caliber imitates you, then that should be taken as an honor.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jason, I think we've come to the end of our show. Another amazing podcast episode. Lots of laughs, lots of fun. Thanks for breaking down the UFC and talking about NBA, NFL, NHL. Holy cow, we covered a lot of subjects today. It was great.
No, it was fantastic. And another great week, my friend. Another great week.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much. And I guess we'll talk very soon. I guess we'll be talking on Wednesday, breaking down some of this fight. I'm sure I'll be texting you while the action's going on, and yeah, we'll talk as the weekend gets closer.
Oh yeah, you betcha, man. Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Okay, buddy. Cheers. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
All right. Yeah, well, one of my favorite guests of all time. And yeah, Jason and I always have really spirited conversations. I hope you liked it. Yeah, it's really fun to be able to break down so many sports. I do have some specialty people, and, they do follow other sports, but a lot of times that, this is their favorite sport and they're not really willing to, branch out into, commentating and talking about some of the other sports. But Jason, always willing to step up, and we've discussed many, many topics, many sports, and always a lot of fun. Makes me laugh, and I always try to find videos that I can show him and show some of the causes that he's interested in and make him laugh as well. And yeah, I'll try to post some of these in my description, and give you some links to some of the videos that I mentioned in this podcast. And yeah, so I hope you had a great weekend as much as I did. Hope your week ahead's looking really, really nice. Beautiful sunny day out there. I'm gonna jump now and go enjoy the sunshine, get myself onto a patio somewhere, something like that. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for tuning in as usual. We're having lots of fun making this. I hope you're having as much fun listening. Yeah, Complete Sports Media will be nothing without its fans. So please subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your family. Let's make this a must see and must listen to thing week after week after week. And let's go from there. Love you lots. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.